start sharing my screen, which means I may not see all of you anymore. I'm also working off my husband's computer tonight, so I don't know the controls as well, but we're going to do the best we can here. But anyway, if you have a question, feel free to interrupt me as we go. So let me share. All right. Well, that worked so far. Oh, but see, now you're all in the way. I can do it. There we go. Okay. So you already know this. I'm here to talk to you about from the page training and why it's important. Here's a picture of what Bronwyn was just talking about, the front entrance of the Enoch Pratt before we had the renovations back in the 90s. And yes, like if you think about the New York Public Library or the Philadelphia Library with their grand staircases going up to them, ours is street level, which is exactly the way that the architects designed it. So I put the State Library Resource Center logo on here because Maryland is a little bit unique. Other states have state library oversight, and we do and we don't. Ours is really run out of the Enoch Pratt Library. So I think it's written into our state law that the Pratt is going to run the State Library Resource Center. And through that resource center, we're providing fiber optic networks. I don't know how those work or if they're still in existence, but that was one of the things. We manage all of the government documents for the state of Maryland, so the federal documents and state documents, and they come into our library and then we disperse them to different hub sites all over the state to make sure that things are organized and everyone has access to them. And we run, this, my department does this, I do this, and I'm think it's very important because I used to be a teacher. We run Sailor, which are the databases that we buy for the whole state, and they go to all the school systems, all the public schools, and all the public libraries. So those are research databases. I saw someone mentioned in the chat genealogy. That's where the ProQuest comes from. It's in all the public libraries. And the other one, we just renewed contracts for 4 more years. The other one we're doing this time is Mango, which is a language learning one. So those are some of the things. I'm sure there are more things that the State Library Resource Center does, but I've only been here a year, and that was enough for me to wrap my head around in that time. And Digital Maryland, that's why I'm here, Digital Maryland. So why is Digital Maryland important? It's providing these, I think, are like the 3 main things: accessibility. So people who can't get to the library for whatever reason, they live out of state, they live out of the country, they are homebound, they have access to all these rich materials. So that is super important there. Education, as a former teacher, I taught in Baltimore County, and then I was a librarian for years, history teacher. I knew about Digital Maryland before I started working for them because I would always direct my students to these primary sources. And I just think historically, it's the way to go when you're teaching students about the past and why we are the way we are today. And then preservation, you can see the Ellicott City Times, it's falling apart. This is one of those papers that ProQuest has a lot of these historic papers that they've digitized. We have some on microfilm, but again, not everyone can get to the library and get to the microfilm machine and look at these. So having them online is really great. Here is, I think this is updated. And actually, if you go to Digital Maryland, you can find this map, and it's interactive. So when you click on all of the markers that are there, and they're organized by county, I believe, it'll open up with a link to the actual collection that is represented in that part of Maryland. So I did this because I was like, I want to make sure that we're representing everyone. And as you can see, we're Central Maryland heavy. We need to do better, kind of making more color all over this map. But it started in 2004 We have 100, I think we have 175 collections now. I think actually that the Natural History Society is our latest collection. That was about a month ago. We're working on a couple more that are getting ready to go live soon. One is the Domino's Sugar Refinery, which was built in 1920. They gave us access to all the photos of it being built, which is kind of neat. And what's the other one? Oh, the other one we found in special collections, they found a bunch of notebooks that have to do with Watergate. And I haven't looked at them too closely yet, but someone brought one into my office today and showed me. It was somebody like taking notes about things during Watergate. And one of the notes, like right in the middle of the page, said, Ali knockout. Ali wins by knockout. And I think they were probably talking about Muhammad Ali. So they were learning about Watergate, and Muhammad Ali was boxing at that time. So that will be an interesting moment. It comes up. There's a lot of neat things on there. We've done Baltimore salt boxes. So we're trying to broaden it so it's not just history, it's also things that are culturally important to Marylanders. So the salt boxes are a big thing in Maryland. There were Black Lives Matter protests, as you know, in Baltimore. We were able to collect a lot of the signs from those and put them through our art scanner and put them up on Digital Maryland to preserve those. The way it works is we pick up partners from across the state. So a lot of the collections come from the Pratt itself or from other library systems that don't have the funding to digitize. We partner a lot with the Maryland State Archives. They have a great system for holding everything. I've been to both of their archives and it's incredible. I felt like I was in a science fiction movie. But what they don't have is a way to make, if you can go to their website, and Corey would not mind me saying this, they don't have the public facing view that people need, because not everyone, again, can go to the Maryland State Archives. So we're partnering with them a lot. And if they have something that they think would be useful to people online, then it's great working with them because they get everything all together and then they send it to us, and it's not that hard to get it up and online. And then smaller partners. And I would say Natural History Society is a small partner now, but I did visit with Bronwyn and Kat, and oh my gosh, there is so much stuff downstairs in your facility. So you might end up being one of our larger partners, because I think, again, I think we're like hitting a new audience there. A lot of people are interested in this. I was telling them before we started tonight that there are people already transcribing on From the Page. I don't know if they live in Maryland. I don't know if they know the Natural History Society. I don't know if they just found the collection because they were like, oh, it's birds. I want to transcribe about birds and learn about birds in the 1930s. It's just something people are interested in. So we're excited about that. So yeah, we have probably like 20 projects going on right now. And we just try to keep up with the work. It's a lot, but I feel like we slowly, I don't know, make inroads. We publish maybe 3 or 4 we would like to do a month. We probably publish 2 or 3 collections a month. I guess it depends on the size too. Also our records. So this is where what you're doing or want to learn how to do is going to come in as important. We use Content DM, which is run by OCLC, and they assign numbers to everything in our collection, and it gets crosswalked with the Digital Public Library of America and WorldCat. So anyone doing a simple Google search online, whatever they're searching for, they're more likely to find Digital Maryland because we're crosswalked with DPLA and WorldCat, or they could end up on DPLA and then they'll get redirected back to Digital Maryland. So again, that's all about access, and we're always thinking of ways. I look at the Google Analytics for our site every month. Tomorrow's the first of the month, so I'll be looking again, and I'm excited always to see that more people are looking at it. I can see which collections are getting the most use. I don't know. I just think it's all very interesting. And Bronwyn, I'll share with you how your collection did for its first month online. And Kat, you all might be interested. All right. These are my people, and Bronwyn and Pat both got to meet them. On your left is Kim. She's our imaging librarian. She graduates soon from University of Maryland. She does all the metadata. So all those images have data attached to them, like dates and titles and Library of Congress subject headings. She does all of that work. Megan in the middle holds the entire department together. She's the project manager. She has been with Digital Maryland the longest, and she knows the most about all of this. So I am constantly asking Megan questions. She's amazing. Megan and I are presenting at the Maryland Library Association conference next week in Ocean City. And so we're looking forward to that. People like to hear about our quirky collections. And then Eugene is our scanning tech. So he does all the labor. People bring collections in, like I was saying, the Domino's photos. He has to take them all out of their binding and put them in our scanners and get them all digitized. And it's complicated work. You got to like keep track of file names and the order you're doing stuff in, and it can get very confusing when you're dealing with 20 different projects. These people are amazing. They do such a good job. Here's a scanner. That's where we scan. This is the book scanner. You can see it goes up and down so that you don't break the spine when you're scanning. This is one of 3 scanners. I don't know if I put all 3 in here. Oh, this is the art scanner. So this is the overhead scanner. Anything that you scan on this machine does not touch the glass. So this was great for posters that had like tape and staples and stuff in them. Or this is an art collection we did for a Maryland artist. We didn't want to damage her work in any way, so this scanner worked well for that. I just put this in here because I think this is a crazy project. The Maryland department at the Central Branch has 30,000 photos in vertical files that we are slowly, Eugene is going through and scanning them all, and then Megan and Kim and I, and actually I didn't put Bill in here. We have one more person who works part-time. He's doing the metadata for these. But yeah, I think they're arranged alphabetically, which is weird. And I think we're on H. So we're going to be doing that project for several more years. That's just another example of deterioration of some of the materials that we work with. This is a recent collection. And just before I show you more about from the page, our challenges, technology is expensive and it changes quickly. So getting funding to keep up is always an issue. Discoverability, that's what I always try to figure out, like, why aren't people finding this? Why isn't this coming up quickly when I search it, on Google? So that's an issue. Usability, we're looking a lot more into this recently. This, actually, Kim, she's the college graduate, soon to be college graduate. She and I are both interested in this, like making sure we're putting metadata behind all the items in our collection so that people who are vision impaired can understand what they are. So that kind of stuff. Usability is, can you download an item? Making sure that we're applying copyright statements to everything in there that makes it super clear for people that aren't copyright lawyers, like, can I use this or not use this, or what are the terms, or who do I get in touch with to find out? And then community engagement, that's what we're doing right now. It's not a challenge, but something we do. All right, can I go to the next slide? There we go. Here, I don't know how many of you have seen it, but here is, I'm going to show it to you in this format. Here is your home page. We host the home page on a WordPress site because it looks pretty. So our tech team at the Pratt does this, but then as soon as you click into view collection, you are in a very clunky content DM platform. It works. I would like it to work better. So you have to click again to go to browse, but you can read about it. And then here are all the items for the Natural History Society of Maryland. So 421 so far. It's a smallish collection. I think there are 4 books, catalogs, records in here, and those are the things that we're going to look at tonight. So actually, this is counting as one record, this accession catalog right here. But when you click into it, it has 25 pages. This is called a compound object. And then you can click through all the pages and see what's inside. So, right, this is awesome. We have some great data. Anyone who is interested in historical ornithology, I don't know what you call it, the history of birds in Maryland, might be interested to find this data online. But right now, the format that it's in on Digital Maryland, it's not really findable if you're looking for specific species, because it's all handwritten and we need to transcribe it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to teach you how to do. All right. Here we go. I can't get to my, bear with me. Does anyone have a question while I'm trying to move you people?
There's a question in the chat, Tracy.
Oh yeah, tell me.
Asking, how is this data on Digital Maryland different from what is in Arctos?
I can take that question.
You take that. Yes.
Yeah, so Arctos is a relational database that while it does connect all the different institutions that use Arctos, so you can search between institutions, and if we have common agents, common localities, they will be linked together inherently. But that reflects specifically our collection specimens, and we are continually cataloging those specimens and entering that data and ideally photographs into Arctos to be open and free to the public. This information, most of these scans, while there are those collection oriented scans like the ledgers, a lot of it is more archival material. You'll see the usefulness of these handwritten ledgers to us when Tracy talks a bit more about from the page and transcription. But like she said, at this time, we have books and books and books and card catalogs of information, old records, specimen notes, and as they're very difficult to use because you don't know, they're not in order. You chose different systems at different times, and it's very unique to that person typically. So one thing that we're really interested in is pulling that data out and making it usable, and I'll pass that back to Tracy.
Awesome. All right, let me go back here. Oh, that's what I just showed you. This is, I think this is for all, I don't know, this is for all of our collections. Yeah, so this is, I can't remember, April 15th to April, oh, this is only for 1 week. So in 1 week, we had 10 collaborators, 13 pages transcribed, blah, blah, blah. So we're getting a lot of people in here working, and we're super happy about that. And what is from the page? I guess I should explain that. It's a crowdsourced transcription service. It's run by two very lovely people, the Brumfelds, and they came up with this on their own. I think they're both engineers or coders. I don't even know. But they have this great platform that we can easily download what you just saw in Digital Maryland. We can download those files and upload them into From the Page, and then ask anyone to help transcribe them. And it works great. We've been doing it, you can see, since 2022. So you have 4 collections in From the Page right now. They're kind of, 3 of them are cataloged together and 1 of them is separate. I can show you actually in this view, maybe not this one. And I'm going to share all these links with you later also. So there is the catalog of Birds and Eggs by J.H. Pleasant. You can see it has 35 pages. It's already 22% complete, and we didn't put it in here that long ago. There's an ornithological ledger from 1888, Summer Resident Birds of Maryland, and then there is a 4th one I'm not seeing right here, but I have the link for it elsewhere. Actually, I wonder, well, we'll go back to it this way. It's this one. No, you saw the accession, the ledger. Maybe it was that all four of them I just showed you? 1, 2, 3, which one? Oh no, it's the last one, the accession catalog that was missing. Yeah, so this is the fourth one. And that's a picture, so we're not going to get to it from there, but I have another way to share it with you. Let's look at, so let's just go back in and we'll walk through what you would do. So this is me signed in without my admin controls, and today was actually the first time I made an account where I signed in as myself, not Digital Maryland. So what I did is, actually this is where I started. When I made the account, I had to pick a username and password. It doesn't make you authenticate through your email or anything. I actually picked single sign-on with Google, which was helpful. And then I got here and I was like, oh, well, this is the rest of the world, all of their collections. How do I find Digital Maryland? And I just searched for it and it brought up the first result. This is everything that we have public right now. So we have some Frederick County Cemetery field notebooks, the Mutual Benefit Society, death registry, a sick registry, and then these two Natural History Society, which this one has 3 in it and this one has 1. I don't know why Megan set them up that way, but you'll be able to find everything. This is all you'll see if you search for Digital Maryland. You could also just search for Natural History Society and end up just getting those collections as well. But as you can see, I don't know, people might want to transcribe birds rather than sick and death registries and cemetery field notebooks. Those are all super important, especially for genealogy. And those are projects that have been happening since 2022. And we're making great progress, but there's a lot of work to do. So we can just start. I'll click on this one first. Get it open for me. Yes. Okay. So this is the one with 3 in it. I'll open the first one. When you get in here, you can see all of the pages. You can read the About section, where this came from. So all this information here, this is the metadata that's behind the scenes in Digital Maryland. So it's also in here so you know what you're working with. If you look at contents, here are all the pages. You can see not many, but they're kind of random. People picked some random pages and completed them. And if you need any help ever, there is a help button. Am I not signed? No, I am signed in. All right, we'll go back to contents. Actually, we're going to go back to the read because I like doing it this way. When you're on the first page here, you can pick pages that need transcription, pages that need completion. So if I'm just picking this one randomly, and I'll pick page 10 and 11. It's the first one. So here's what we're working with. You can change the layout. This is really small. I'm sure it's even smaller on your screens because we're on Zoom right now. You can make it bigger. And here's the challenge: interpreting the handwritten pages. So I'm looking at a Passanella Chiaka. I have no idea. What I would probably do in this case, I would do one of 2 things. I would either do it's illegible, or if I was feeling like I wanted to do a little research, I could open up Google and try to put in as many letters as I think I know. And chances are Google's going to know what species you're talking about. So you have 2 options. Yes.
And Tracy, I think that if you're a birder, it might these might pop out at you.
I think you are probably right. And I think the more you do, you get used to the handwriting here, and the same species kind of pop up on different pages. So that makes it a little bit easier. Does anyone know what this bird is?
I don't know what it is specifically, but I'm guessing, just based on the first word, it's some sort of passerine. Another interesting challenge for these is that the taxonomy for ornithology changes rather frequently because of the high interest. So a lot of these names are actually no longer in use, or you'll see variations of them. But as somebody who spent many hours cataloging birds from small handwritten tags, you can try variations in Google and eventually you will most likely find the correct bird.
Yeah, Google is your friend here. So you just go through and if they spelled something wrong, you keep it like that. If they abbreviate March and just do MAR, you keep it like that. There's no, so you're just typing it exactly as is. You don't need to use sick or anything like that. And really, I think what you need to remember when you're helping with a project like this, right now, this is on Digital Maryland as handwritten text, and it's not searchable at all. If you contribute anything, even if it's not perfect, it's better than what we have right now. So my team does go through. So when you're done, you can preview, right? And it'll show you the way it will look when it's finished. And then you can hit save. All the old directions for using this platform say save often. I guess it's never a bad idea to save often, but I have a feeling it is auto saving behind the scenes. But save, and then when you're done, I mean, you can even be like partially transcribing one page and you're like, oh, I'm tired of trying to interpret this handwriting. I'm going to go on and work with something else. That's totally fine. Like anything you can do is a great help to all of us. So you just hit done. You can hit needs review if you want to make sure that we're going to get our eyes on it, but we do look at everything anyway. So that's kind of optional. You don't have to hit that. You can mark it as blank if it's a blank page. That's what that button is for. And then if you have a question, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Is
please.
there, you know, some of us are used to using iNaturalist if we're looking at something in the field, and it has different categories. So we put in our identification, and then other people say, well, I think it's this, or I think it's this, and it doesn't get a research grade until 3 people agree on it. This does not have a built-in filter or built-in system where 3 people have to look at it and check off on it.
It does not, but you are well. That's what I was going to show you at the bottom. If you want to, you know, between all of you, use these notes. This is a great way to leave notes for everyone else. And you would just say, I'm not sure about the species. Whoop. You can also zoom in with your mouse, you know, on line 53. Can someone check that for me? So yeah, you can use illegible, or you can leave a note at the bottom, or you can just move on and do another page. But we don't have specific 3 people. I think for most of our collections, it would take a lot of coordination to have 3 people confirm anything. And as I said, I think anything is better than having no transcription at all. And what happens with stuff like this, so after it's done here, after the collection is fully transcribed, we would look it over. We're not going to go line by line and look at every single thing. We're probably going to just do a quick check of each page. And then we're going to put it up on, and it'll go underneath of the item on our Content DM site. And so the transcription will show up right underneath of that image or the page. And people will start using it. And we have found that when people start using it, they are more than happy to correct us if anything is wrong. So there's actually information on our website, you know, how to get in touch with us. And so we get, you know, that's not on this street, or that's the wrong name. He wasn't a junior. We get that all the time, and that's fine. Perfection's not what we're going for with Digital Maryland. Does that make sense? All right, let me show you the other one. I can use this mouse. So that's the catalog of birds and eggs of J.H. Pleasant. That's a lot of handwritten information about that collection. This one, again, oh, it's another J.H. Pleasant. All right, so you can see there's been a lot of work done on this one. And there are different conventions here. So this one is kind of interesting. If you look, there were boxes. I guess these are supposed to look like catalog cards, like drawn in the middle of these pages. And we weren't really sure what to do with them. It gets tricky with Content DM and formatting. They don't like a lot of special formatting. They won't accept it and it'll error and everything will look really strange. So we kind of thought the best way to deal with these boxes, let's see if Megan's done it on here. No. So number 7, oh, right here. Oh, she didn't do it on this one. So that, again, this is where we oh, I have to hit the transcribe button. We'll be going back through and looking at these. For this, we were doing brackets, box, and then a bracket. It's the flat one, just to show people this is where a box started. And then it ends after here. And again, these don't have to be perfect. Just something to indicate that there was a box in that surrounding this text right here. Anything else weird on these? Oh, we did find out, we did a test because we were writing out the male and female signs right here, but then Megan determined you can actually use these. So I guess that's going to be dependent on your browser, if you can find these little symbols and insert them. But if you can't, you'll see in one catalog coming up, she actually created a drop down for all of them, so you can just select it. If you can't find those symbols, you can also just put male, female in brackets. Either way.
And I hope that if you can just sit there for a second, Tracy,
Sure.
because this is just awesome. This little write-up on this. I mean,
It's a little poem,
so,
isn't it? I was noticing that too. A curious incident by which a field sparrow lost its life was noticed.
yes, it is. It is so quaint and so important. So much information, and yeah, I'm just loving reading this.
Mm-hmm.
To answer your question as well, Tracy, in his books where he does draw the square with the information, that's how his tags look. So he was directly basically drawing the tags that he put on the actual specimens. Sometimes he's added a little bit of information, but when it says like Towson, Baltimore Cone, Maryland, and has his collection of and stuff and all his numbers, that's what the tag looks like.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Kat, could you explain how we're trying to use this? That they use some of this information links to actual bird specimens in the collection?
Yeah, I can speak on that real fast. Basically, we have many specimens and not a lot of recorded data on those specimens. I have transcribed when there are physical tags associated with each bird, which has a lot of data on them. Sometimes birds, their tags have fallen off over the years, especially if they're birds from the late 1800s, early 1900s. Sometimes the tags are illegible, but the information may be in a ledger as well, like we see here. And sometimes it's just a matter of confirming information. But at the end of the day, if that information is transcribed, I can more easily search it. Volunteers and interns can more easily search it, and people who are researchers can have supplemental materials to go along with the data we've recorded in Arctos. So it's really enriching our understanding of the collection. As you can see, sometimes there are notes on the environment or notes on the condition of the specimen that weren't on the small tag that's associated with the actual physical bird. So it's just an extremely there's a wealth of information about all of our collections hidden in these old books. And I'm, as one human being, cannot go through and read every single book and try to piece things together. Although I did spend a couple hours earlier trying to match up mammal skeletal pieces with cards just based on numbers and trying to figure out numbers. So I do that to an extent, but this is very helpful and will help us all understand what we have a lot better.
And this is just the first tranche of information and ledgers and photographs and treasures that we are digitizing in partnership with Digital Maryland.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's a great little collection. So the third one on here, this one, oh no, this was the one. Well, hold on, let's look at it. Oh, this one's good. This one was done with a typewriter. We can all read that. So you can see here. So I kind of went through today and I did just a little bit here and there in the different collections. And it's a great way, like if you're unsure, like, what do I do with these check marks? You can write the word checked in brackets afterwards, which indicates that that item had a little check mark next to it. So yeah, this whole book, go back to it. Summer resident birds. This is blank, this is blank. They just start going right into the different birds. Do you want to tell us any more about this book, Kat? You remember it?
This one, I think, if I can remember correctly, it is I think it's largely to record birds observed during a certain period in Maryland. So I think there's a list of like birds that exist in this area during this period at the beginning, and it's designed so that if you saw them, you could record when you saw them. Observation is kind of a big thing in natural sciences in general, but yeah, so it looks like whoever had this personally had been checking off when they saw things, and then later in the book had been recording where, when, what they saw. So I believe that's what this one is. I haven't looked, it's been a minute since I saw it in person.
Yeah. Well, this would be a nice one to start with if you're looking to work on any of these. And then the last one, the fourth collection, because there are 4, only 3 show up here. I don't know why I have to do this. Oh, I just saw the button as soon as I did it. Because there's 3 in 1. And then this last one, the accession catalog down here, is on its own. So this one is truly a catalog. And I'll show you this one because Megan did set it up so that you can go line by line. If you go here, you just got to be super careful that you're following along, but no one has done any work on this so far yet. So this is pretty straightforward. 307. Why is the date way down here? Name, age, sex, locality. I guess it doesn't matter too much, and we could probably reformat that after it's done, but this has a lot of information too. And this is the one where I said she did, I thought there was a little drop down in there, but there's not on this page. For that, you can just put male or female. But all of that information is here as you go all the way across, which is pretty awesome. And then there are, how many pages to this? Oh, look, it's telling me I have unsaved changes. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't do too much. So this has 25 pages that are like this. Lots to be done. So I will go over real quick because we're running out of time. And I have all this on a document. I'm going to try to find it and put it in the chat before we're finished. I already talked about spelling. Use original spelling, retain original capitalization and punctuation. Line breaks. Don't put a lot of line breaks in your transcription, even if, like when we were looking at that one that had the cards in the middle of it, don't hit enter a bunch of times just because we pay per time when you hit enter. And it's not necessary. It doesn't really add to the transcription to do that. From the page automatically uses straight quotes, not the curly quotes. So just pay attention to that. I don't know if yours are showing up as curly. See if you can change them to the straight ones, but you should be fine. Illegible. Brackets around text when you are not sure if it's accurate. Yeah, brackets are your best friend. We tend to use brackets for left page, right page as well. You're not going to have any ellipses, I think. And then for yours specifically, yeah, we've been over all of this. Advanced markup techniques, that's like asterisks and some of the and sign, or using HTML. None of that will export. All right, and then, oh, here was my example. In that handwritten one, I thought it said black stamer bird. That's what the cursive looked like. And it came up when I Googled it. It knew exactly what I was looking for. And that is all I was going to tell you about. Oh, but I'm going to drop the link. It's here. Here it is. And anyone have any questions for me or for Kat or Bronwyn?
Thanks, Tracy. If you want to unshare, come back and we can do some Q&A.
Yes, I would love to see everyone again.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting to see this. Go ahead, Joe.
Does the user have any way to control the data to indicate the fact that nothing can be done with the data, or that the data cannot be displayed while it's available? It cannot be displayed on a public access type of database?
Are you talking about rights and permissions?
No, I'm talking about the fact that if there is let's just say, if there is information about someone who did the collection, can you go ahead and indicate the fact that a transcriber cannot put that in the record that's going to be seen, or cannot put the location of where the animal was found?
You want to stick with transcribing only what was in the document. If you're looking at a collection and you have something that you feel like could be added to it, then you would want to first check on Digital Maryland. What does that item look like there? And if there's something that could be added or something you think removed, then we would put that information in like the notes on the Digital Maryland collection. But the transcription is really just literally that. It should only be what it says on the piece of paper or the document that you're looking at.
Well, can you not include all that's there?
You want to omit things that were in the transcriptions?
Yes.
I mean, you'd have to have a good reason to. So if it was personally identifying information or.
Well, as an example.
Yeah.
let's say I'm a geologist and I found this particular type of rock in Calvert County. However, this is a rare find. And we don't want anybody going to Calvert County to this location to look for, destroy, or collect this particular specimen. We want to keep it in its as pristine condition as possible. So we don't want someone to go ahead and say, you know, hey, I'm going to put this on there, and you look for this, and the collector says, hey, this is great. This is a new source for this type of mineral, and then go out to the site and collect it all out. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I was wondering if the organization has the right to go ahead and indicate that, number one, this record is not eligible for transcription, or the bottom line is to put certain things in there, but do not go ahead and put in everything that's in there.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe makes up an interesting point, because if it's an endangered species or an endangered or threatened plant that people are going after, that people are looking for information that they're going to go try to poach or get things, and it could be sold on the black market kind of thing. That sensitive information.
I will say though, oh, sorry, Bronwyn, I thought you were pausing. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kat.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say these ledgers are, at least the ones that are up right now, are all about ornithological specimens, and they are largely from the late 1800s, early 1900s. We don't really have many of these old ledgers and records past the 1940s. So I view them more as historical records and historical documents than necessarily like active scientific research. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. All of these things are in the NHSM's collection. There are ways for us to control sensitive information when it comes to how we publish our specimen records. But in this case, we're really just trying to make the information that we already have more usable. So I wouldn't worry too much about that factor, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like Joe, we have all of our archaeology specimens that are on Arctos, and that's all publicly available. And do they have location details of where those were found as well, Kat?
They do have their localities due to our, for a long time, a lot of our specimens were collected by naturalists, not necessarily for purely scientific research, but for their own personal interest in these things, for collecting for the institution. So typically the locality data is maybe not as specific as it would be for modern techniques when it comes to collecting. We don't have a lot of coordinates. We mostly just have towns and counties. And I don't believe we actually, something like minerals, I don't believe we have any mineralogy or geology ledgers. So those would be a little bit more specific to the mine. But the data that's in Arctos, any data we have is shared. A lot of the places these things were collected from no longer exist in the same form anyway. So if you were to go to some of these old springs, some of these old parks, they don't really exist in the same form today. So that's one of the reasons we want to record the data, to also reflect the changing nature of the places where they were collected. So we do tend to record and make that information public in general.
Okay, thank you.
Terry asks about additional NHSM collections, and yes, The folks from Digital Maryland are coming next week to bring back these goodies that they've already put up and to take some more stuff to digitize. Kat, do you want to let them know some of the stuff that they'll be taking with them?
Oh, sure. We have to make a few decisions, but we have more historical photographs. We have more ledgers of different collections that we have, different personal collections as well, that might not even be necessarily what we have on site, but still interesting information, observational cards we're thinking about. And then we have a wealth of slides that depending on availability for Digital Maryland, because obviously they're doing this in their own program, they have other projects, depending on their availability, that might also become available on the site. But basically any of those handwritten documents that are going to be immediately useful to our understanding of the collections, we're trying to get those transcribed. But like we were saying earlier, you can browse everything that's on Digital Maryland just to take a look at it and see all the interesting stuff up there. Not all of it's going to be on from the page, but there's still a lot of interesting things up there. And I really encourage you to look through it.
Is anyone able to confirm that my link worked to give you the document with the directions, and it also had direct links to your collections and from the page? Did anyone try it yet?
I just tried it and it looks like it is working.
Works
Thank
for me.
you. Thank you.
We are having a great time since the organization dates back to, it was founded in 1929, but it goes back farther than that. Folks is an offshoot of the Maryland Academy of Sciences. And as you might know or may not know, this is our third location. So from the 30s to the 70s, we had a museum at Druid Hill Park and an office building in a row home on Charles Street. From the 70s to the 2000s, that everything in the museum was kind of collapsed into that row home, if you can imagine that. And this has been our rebirth in the Overley neighborhood and the border of Baltimore County, Baltimore City. So we are rediscovering all of this wonderful archival materials and historic materials. So it's been a wonderful exercise in opening up boxes and seeing all of these historic pictures and trying to understand how we can utilize them to help interpret the natural history, because you have photographs of different places in Maryland that were from different time periods, and we can maybe we can go back to those same places and take pictures today and have them side by side and show differences. So there's a lot of fun opportunities that exist as we digitize these pictures and share them and find new ways to use them.
I see a question in the chat for clarification about the difference or the relationship between Digital Maryland and From the Page.
Sure. Digital Maryland is the publicly viewable open access platform that all of these items can be found on. So they're already there already. From the Page is a subscription service that Digital Maryland uses to crowdsource transcription. So the items that are from the Natural History Society collection that are those catalogs that I was showing you, we put those on From the Page. You have to make an account, but you can go on there then and help us transcribe them, and then we pull them off of there and put the transcriptions on Digital Maryland.
Yes, Joe.
How do you find something there if you're looking for it?
On Digital Maryland or on?
Yeah, I mean, do you indicate the fact that you want to look at a specific database, or do you want to look for information about crows, or do you want to go ahead and look for photographs of people at a certain time? I mean, what is the, what's the mechanism
Yeah,
that you would
About the
search for?
metadata, maybe?
yeah, there are a lot of ways. So I find some people just go to browse, right? And they browse by subject matter. Most people that are going are doing a Google search for, say, Raven, right? Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven, whatever. And then maybe we have, I don't know if we do or not, in Digital Maryland, maybe we have an item that the metadata matches with that Google search. And so they would be directed to our site. So most people aren't probably going just to browse through and look unless they're history buffs or they're looking, I don't know why. Oh, you know what? We have a lot of people look for artwork for hotels and museums, restaurants. We have a lot of documentary filmmakers, but again, those people are doing direct searches probably to find what they need.
No. Does every particular entry then have, I'll put it this way, a search list that was put in there to find out what it was?
Yes, it does. And that's why it all works beautifully. And that search list is shared with several other platforms, Library of Congress, WorldCat, Digital Public Library of America. And so that's why you're likely to find something that you're looking for when you just do a Google search.
Okay.
And
So
Joe,
that, yes, Bronwyn. Hello?
I was just going to say that the material that we're putting up is very varied. So we have some photo albums, and they're just photographs. And then we have the accessional data. So those are specimens that came into our collections. Then there's those observational data. So that's people out in the field, what they were observing. So there are all kinds of different types of materials that are being put up. They're not just one type of material.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is that if there's a picture of an owl, will the transcriber then have to go to a list and say that there is a picture, and then there is a picture of a bird, and then a picture of a great horned owl, in order to go ahead and direct someone searching for something can find that picture of the great horned owl on the Natural History Society site?
That's a good question. You're only doing transcriptions for the text. So it's only for, it could be typed, it could be typewriter. If it's typed, we probably did it ourselves. It's probably likely going to be handwriting or typewritten. So that's all you're transcribing. Everything else, we already put the metadata in for. So you're not doing any metadata. I have Kim as my metadata librarian and Megan is my metadata guru, and Kat hooked us up with a lot of great information that came with everything that she sent to us. That's already in there. All we're asking for help with is the transcription.
Okay, thank you.
That was a good question.
And to answer, it looks like Rachel's question, are the photos or specimens on display being included in the archive? So, so we are trying to photograph specimens as we catalog them and then attach those photographs into Arctos as reference photographs so that experience is a little bit more rich. Those aren't really archival photographs, however, they're more just management purpose photographs. If we ever have, however, photographs of a specimen or an artifact from back in the day that documents it when it was first collected or its original context, that maybe would be more archival. I would think of Digital Maryland as a little bit of a split from Arctos. It's not it's not managing or recording the data on all our different specimens. It's really focusing on the archival materials that have a relevancy to Maryland as a state. And then Arctos is where we're actively entering data on the specific objects and specimens that we hold. And ideally, those will all get photographs eventually so that you can browse. Some of the archaeological collection already has some photographs, and I'm working actively to photograph our herbarium, so our botany collection. And then once those are further along in cataloging, you'll be able to look through all that information and see photographs of those specimens as you look at that. So it's a bit of a separate thing, but both are very valuable. And there's actually now a guide that I put together on our website for searching Arctos for non-employees, non-active users, because you need plenty of permissions to edit records and actually do that kind of thing, but you can browse. So that guide's up there. If you have any questions, just let us know, and we'll be happy to explain a little bit further.
Any other questions? Because it gets a little confusing because we have all the specimens and collections, and that's under the auspices of the Arctos system. And this is the new Digital Maryland, which is going with all the archival materials, which are the handwritten notes and the photographs and all this other stuff that complement the collections and the history of the organization, but not directly. Yeah.
Well, how will this
Matthew.
information be used going forward, like for research purposes or as a scientific set of data?
Well, it's useful for internal management of the collection. So as we're, for instance, like I was talking about, we have a bunch of untagged skeletal material from different mammals, but some of them have numbers written on them. So having a searchable catalog, a searchable register that I can go in and search potential species matches, potential number matches, and then find all the information on that specific specimen, we can go back and catalog it accurately. Additionally, while the ledgers are very helpful practically for myself and for the people who have to manage the collection, things like observational records, card catalogs for observations, if somebody were researching, we're talking about birds a lot today. If someone were researching birds in a certain area during a certain time period, that observational data, and even just having specimen data, knowing that we have it or had it at some point, provides them with data points about, different species in that area, things that might not necessarily actively come to that area anymore, changes over time. So I think one of the underlying thoughts behind all of this is open access to information and trying to make it as accessible and as open to as many people as possible. We've already had a few researchers reach out to us about the information we have in Arctos, looking for more information about certain minerals from certain mines because they're working on a presentation, or looking for specific species of birds in our collection for an exhibit or a presentation or research they're doing. Someone reached out about paper nautilus shells recently. So it's really just about making our collections and the information we have on them more useful to the public, whether that's a researcher, a student, or just somebody who's interested in the topics for a naturalist amateur perspective. So there's a lot of different ways that it can be used, and we're trying to chip away at the possibilities by making it accessible, if that makes sense.
And it's also helpful. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't have. We don't know what we have. So going through all this stuff, we're discovering treasure troves of information. So it's going to be it's quite an exciting project, and so you get to be part of that journey. Not only you get to see it on Digital Maryland as we put it up there, and you can browse through and see all these amazing things, and you can also be a part of it by transcribing it and reading all of those wonderful words I mean, that little paragraph of the nest and the bird tangled up in the horse mane hair. I mean, that was just amazing. So that's just a piece of naturalist history right there. And we can be a part of that. So that's, again, that's all part of that accessibility, and that brings us full circle to that whole Enoch Pratt thing that we started out with, the accessibility of why he wanted to build that library in the first place, to make it accessible and knowledge accessible to all, and not to have the staircase, but to make it on the level of the street so everybody could get into it and access it. And Digital Maryland is just the next outgrowth of that. And thank you, Tracy, so much for all of the work that you and your team are doing, not only with our collections, but with collections throughout the entire state. It is a wonderful resource, and we're so glad that it's under your leadership.
Thank you. I mean, I'm really excited about this partnership. It's something different. I think someone already said in the comments that it's fun to transcribe this, and it's fun to look at these old documents. And I can already see, I'm now back in my admin dashboard, that our percentages of transcription are already going up in the last hour. So this is a win.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on this special Wednesday presentation. And I hope that you will get on and get into Digital Maryland, and especially into our collections, and hopefully from the page, and start transcribing and exploring with us as we continue on. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow night for asteroids hitting the Earth. Tracy, you're welcome to come back and join us to learn all about asteroids hitting the Earth.
Thank you. It's enticing.
Everybody stay well and stay curious and enjoy this beautiful weather we've been having.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.